Hi everyone. For Monday and Tuesday we're going to be working on page 144, and it says up the top there that it's division, but it's a mixture really of division and multiplication as well. So these questions might look a little bit harder because they've got words, but they're the same thing, and they're actually more like real life because not many people are going to give you a sum like this to try and figure out with money in real life, but you'll have to figure out money for yourself when you're going shopping. So what we have to figure out here is, let's say for example for the first one, the shop is telling us how much it is to buy 6 apples, but we only want to buy 1. So we're going to have to figure out for ourselves how much it's going to cost us to buy 1. So we've got apples, oranges, bananas, pork chops, and bars. So all the questions are going to be about different ones. Now the first one part A, I'm going to do the example of. It says find the cost of 1 apple. Now you have to choose whether it's going to be division or multiplication. It's giving you a big hint up the top that it's going to be mostly division. But if you weren't sure, think in your head, division, I'm getting a smaller answer. Multiplication, I'm getting a bigger answer. So if I have 6 apples and I want 1, I'm wanting a smaller answer. So I'm going to go with division. So it says find the cost of 1 apple. And I know that 6 apples are 180. So I am going to divide 180 by 6 because that's the price of the 6 apples and that's how many there are. So when I get this answer, that's going to tell me the cost of 1 apple. So let's do that one. Now, before I start, I'm going to put in my euro sign in the same place that there was a euro sign. Now, think again, because it's division, feet into shoes. If I had a size 6 foot, is it going to fit into a size 1 shoe? No. So it fits 0 times, and I carry my 1 here. I'm going to keep the decimal point in the same place. It was after 1 number, so I keep it in the same place. Now I have 6 into 18. You can do groups to figure it out. You can do like, let's see if I can fit them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then I can see that 6 fits into 18 3 times because I've got 3 groups. Or if you know your tables, you can just count 6, 12, 18. Either way, it fits in 3 times. And I have nothing at all to carry over because it fit in perfectly. So I'm going to cross all these off out of my way because they might confuse me. And then my last part of the question is 6 into 0. How many times does 6 fit into 0? None. So my answer is 1 apple costs me 30 cents. So 6 apples are 180, 1 apple is 30 cents. And the only way to figure it out is to divide the number of things, whether it's apples, oranges, bananas, by the amount of them they have. So it won't always be by 6. I only divided 180 by 6 because there were 6 apples. If I was working with bananas, I would have to divide 175 by 7 to find out the price of 1 because there are 7 bananas. So it depends how many things are in the box or the bag, what you divide it by. Now, I'm going to skip to 2A just to show you how to do that one because it's still apples. Now, I know the price of 1 apple, and now it's asking me the cost of 4 apples. So this time, if you think about it, I need to figure out if I'm doing division or multiplication. I know the price of 1, and I want to know the price of 4. So my answer is going to be bigger because there are more apples, so I'm going to multiply. So if I already have figured out the price of 1 apple, I can use that answer and multiply it by 4. If I hadn't, I would have to do 2 parts to this sum. First, I would have to divide 180 by 6, and then with that answer, I'd multiply it by 4. But because I've already done 180 by 6 in 1A, I'm going to use this answer, and I'm going to multiply it by 4. So keep in mind the ones that you've already done, because if you get down to, let's say, 2 part E and it wants to know the price of 7 apples, there's no point in doing 2 parts of that sum if you've already done the first part up here. So you can look back on question 1 for your answers, and it will make it easier and it will make it quicker. So I'm going to use my answer from 1A to help me with 2A. So 2A wants to know the price of 4 apples. So I'm going to put in what I got for my answer. It was 0.30, so 30 cent. And I'm multiplying it by 4. It's not a very straight line. Now, 4 multiplied by 0, well, anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So I'm going to start that. And then 4 multiplied by 3. Remember with multiplication, if you know your 3 times tables better, you can do 3 groups of 4. Or if you know 4 better, you do 4 groups of 3, whichever works for you. I'm going to stick with 4s. I'm going to go 4, 8, 12. Put down my 2, carry my 1. I'm going to keep my decimal point in the same place. And then I've got 4 multiplied by 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And now I've got my answer. 4 apples costs 1.20. I knew that 1 apple costs 30. And I know that 6 apples from the book costs 1.80. A good way to check if you were wrong, if you went wrong somewhere here, if I had got the answer that 4 apples costs more than 6 apples, then I'd know I went wrong somewhere. So keep an eye on that as well. I'll do another example. I'm going to do 1 part C. So 1 part C wants to know the cost of 1 orange. And in the bag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 5 oranges. Sorry, you can see them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, so I'm going to have to divide 205 by 5 because the total cost for 5 oranges is 205. And I divide it by the amount of oranges in the bag to find out how much 1 costs. So it's division. Because I'm going down from 5 oranges just down to 1. So it's getting smaller. I stick with division. Now, before I start, I'm going to put my euro sign in the same place. Now, 5 into 2, if I have a size 5 foot, it will not fit into a size 2 shoe. So I'm going to put down a 0 and keep my decimal point in the same place. I have to carry the 2 because I didn't use it. I put it with this 0, so it makes 20. That doesn't really look like a 2, but that's a little bit better. So then 5 into 20, I'm going to use my 5 times tables. 5, 10, 15, 20, 4. I don't have to carry anything over because I used the full 20. I'm going to cross all these off out of my way. And then the last part is 5 into 5. If I have a size 5 foot, would it fit into a size 5 shoe? Yeah, once perfectly. So we've just figured out that it costs 41 cents for 1 orange. So now if I look at question 2, part B, they are showing me 3 oranges. They want to know the cost of 3 oranges. I already have the cost of 1 orange here. So I'm going up, I'm getting higher. I want to go from 1 to 3. I need to multiply. Another way that you could do it if you wanted, because remember how we talk about multiplication is the same as adding again and again. If you wanted to just add 41 cents 3 times, it's the same as multiplying it. So you could do it that way if you like. I'm just going to stick to multiplication for example. So we have 41 cents and I'm going to multiply it by 3. They want to know how much it costs for 3 oranges. So 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. 3 multiplied by 4. If you don't know your tables, remember that you can do groups. So just to show you how to do groups, because I showed it for division and it's a tiny bit different. If I want to do 3 groups of 4, I can, or 4 groups of 3, I can. I'm going to do 3 groups of 4. So there's 1 group of 4. There's 2 groups of 4. And there's 3 groups of 4. And then I'm going to count up my dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12. Put down my 2 and carry my 1. I'm keeping my decimal point the same. See, it's 2 numbers. 2 numbers. Keep it in the same place. And then 3 multiplied by 0 is 0 plus 1 tells me that it would cost me 1.23 for 3 oranges. So the main thing to remember is if you're finding the cost of 1, you have to divide the costs by the amount that there are altogether. So to find 1 apple, I need to divide 180 by 6. To find 1 pork chop, I need to divide €3 by 2. And then if it wants to know more than that, So let's say I found out the price of one pork chop. So that would be 1 part G. If then I was wondering how much it would cost me for 10 pork chops, I have to multiply that answer by 10. So before you can do any multiplication, you have to find out how much it costs for one before you can find out more.